But not everyone in the late 1700s was as optimistic. And one of the more famous, not so optimistic people was Thomas Malthus. Thomas Malthus, right over here. And I will just quote him directly. This is from his essay on the principle of population. The power of population is so superior to the power of the earth to produce subsistence for man that premature death must in some shape or other visit the human race. Very uplifting. The vices of mankind are active and able ministers of depopulation. They are the precursors in the great army of destruction, and often finish the dreadful work themselves. But should they fail in this war of extermination, sickly seasons, epidemics, pestilence, and plague advance in terrific array, and sweep off their thousands and tens of thousands. Should success still be incomplete, gigantic inevitable famine stalks in the rear, and with one mighty blow levels the population with the food of the world. So not so uplifting of a little quote right over here, but this was his general sense. He lived in a time where people were being very optimistic that progress, the march of progress would go on forever until we got to some utopian civilization. But from Thomas Malthus's point of view, he felt that if people could reproduce and increase the population, they will, that there's no way of stopping them. So from his point of view, the way he saw it, so let me on that axis, let's say that that is the population, and this axis right over here, let's say that that is time. So by his thinking and everything that he'd seen in reality up to that point would back this up, that if people had enough food and time, they would reproduce, and they would reproduce in numbers that would grow the population. So in his mind, the population would just keep on increasing. It'll just keep on increasing until it can't support itself anymore, until the actual productivity of the land can't produce enough calories to feed all of those people. So in his mind, there would be some natural upper bound based on the amount of food that the earth could support. So let's say that this is, let me do that in a different color. So in his mind, there was some upper bound. And once you get to that upper bound, then all of a sudden the vices of mankind will show up. And if those don't start killing people, then all of these other things will. Epidemics, pestilence, plague, and then famine. People are actually starving to death. So in his mind, once you got to this level, maybe you had a couple of good crops, people are feeling good about themselves, they overpopulate, but then all of a sudden you have a bad crop. Or because you have a bad crop, people start fighting over resources and wars happen. Or maybe the population is so dense that a plague develops. And then you have a massive wave of depopulation. And so you would just oscillate around this limit. And this limit some people refer to as a Malthusian limit, but it's just really the limit at which the population can sustain itself. And from Thomas Malthus's point of view, he did recognize that there were technological improvements, especially in things like agriculture, and that this line was moving up. He had seen it in his own lifetime that this line had moved up. But from his point of view, however far you move this line up, the population will always compensate for it and catch up to it, and eventually get to these eventually get to this limit, and then the same kind of not so positive things that he talks about would actually happen. All right, guys, we finally made it. Danny, come here.
Here's the hole right here.
Yeah, I know, but come here.
Finally, how many years have we been waiting to get to this place? Here it is, the famous Georgia Guidestones. I mean, this is fucking really spooky, really, tell you the truth. I mean, it's pretty weird. Here it is. As you can see, these are all solid granite slabs, which I was in the granite industry, and this is a bitch to set these things, I'm going to tell you right now. This cost a lot of money to cut these things and to do this. All right, guys, check this out. There's a time capsule that's built 6 feet below this spot right here, and it doesn't tell you when it's supposed to be opened or anything right here. And wow. So this is due north this way, due east, due west, and south. They got the Babylonian cuneiform, the Egyptian
The writing on the
hieroglyphics.
weird Egyptian hieroglyphics stands for "Let these guide stones be an age of reason."
Yeah.
The holes do this. They do.
Channel through stone indicates celestial pole. The horizontal slot indicates annual travel of the sun. And the sunbeam through the capstone marks noontime throughout the year.
They
So that little
misspelled
slot.
pseudonym.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
It's like a typo. Physical data right
Well,
here.
as much money as they paid the granite company, Georgia Granite Company did this, right? I remember some guys that worked for there. They worked on this deal. They told me it was fucked up.
Alberton Granite Museum and Exhibit, Alberton, Georgia.
Yep.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Wonder what's in the time capsule.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Why don't they have a date when it's supposed to be opened? You know?
Yeah. It's stupid.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Maintain humanity under 500 million. So, how many people we got to kill?
I mean, we gotta kill a lot of people.
Well, Monsanto's doing a good job. Maybe Monsanto, maybe they did this. Yeah, it's a good possibility. Who knows? But they want to
Maybe.
kill plenty of people. Here we go.
We just know that they're killing a lot of people.
Here we
That's
go.
all.
Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Okay, well, that's eugenics. So who's the head of eugenics right now, Scotty? Bill Gates? Seriously. Pretty much.
There's no eugenics anymore.
Well, I mean, okay, here we go. What else we got here? Unite humanity with a living new language.
It's like Bible stuff.
There we go. The Babylon, right?
Tower Babylon.
There we go. Okay, there we go. All right. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason.
Get rid of all your passion, get rid of all your faith, and get rid of all your old traditions with reason.
Well, that might be good. What do you think?
Sounds like you're a robot.
Well, I mean, but some of the old-fashioned stuff and some of
passion's important.
Well, passion we got to have, you know. So I mean, we you know.
It says to become a robot and get rid of everything that we ever were.
But I mean, some of the old traditions are pretty
Some of them are
fucking
retarded.
lame. Okay, but I mean, let's some are okay, with tempered reason. Okay, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Well,
Okay,
isn't that what America was all about? I mean, weren't we supposed to be free? And
It's just telling you what to think.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll go from there. Okay, let's see. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Isn't that kind of like New World Order kind of thing? Huh? Isn't that like the United Nations?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the UN right
there
there.
we go. The United Nations. There we go.
The
Maybe
UN.
they built it. Okay, let's see. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Now that I agree with. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Avoid petty laws. Fuck yeah. And the useless officials. I mean, do you know any officials that aren't useless? Let's get rid of them. There we go. All right. Balance personal rights with social duties. Okay, come on now.
Sounds like Russia communist mode. You know,
I mean,
Soviet Russia happening. Social duties.
Yes, let's get our social duties, huh? Okay.
Nazi Germany.
Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. That sounds pretty fucking...
That just sounds like it's thrown in there to sound like you're real nice or something.
Yeah,
It sounds
okay.
so stupid.
All right. Well, I mean, we can believe in that.
They
Though,
could just-
we can prize truth. Yes, we prize truth,
They could
beauty,
just say-
love. Yes.
Prize good things.
Okay. All right.
Generic stuff.
Well, I like I like the next. I like the next one here. Be not a cancer on the earth. Okay, I can agree with that. Let's try not to be cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Well, I don't know. How many times have we traveled across the country? I think there's plenty of nature still left, isn't there?
There's lots of it, but
I mean, I think there's a lot of nature still left. So, I don't know.
nature.
What do you think? Well, there it is. Pretty bizarre. Guys, I just want to let you know one thing. Each one of these blocks right here weigh 25,000 pounds. Okay, so 25,000 pounds each, and it cost a lot of money.
Just to get an
build this
idea of how
Yeah.
big they are.
It's a lot of money to build these things, man. So who the hell did this, and why?
You've said that the ultimate goal is total population control. In a democracy, that is really scary business.
It's actually a totalitarian process that's been used down through history. I mean, that's what totalitarian dictators, states, that's what they want to do. They want to know everything about the population so they can control it. That was the idea behind the Soviet Union, the East German Stasi. That was their idea, and the Gestapo and the SS, and down through history, many others.
It is the 19th of August, 2020. I wanted to focus your attention on the Georgia Guidestones and your belief on what will have to happen to reach the 500 million number, the perpetual balance within nature, so on and so forth. The Georgia Guidestones is, I believe it's a little more than just a conspiracy theory, because this thing exists. It's real. It's tangible. You can walk up to it and touch it. I don't think reaching 500 million people is a joke. So what is the point to this thing? I will show you the basics. As I'm talking, you can pause and read. I'll even put a link to the Wikipedia page. Not that Wikipedia is, the most reputable source online, but it's a good place to start your research. The reason I wanted to bring your attention to the Georgia Guidestones is this is another thing that I believe could just make the average person who isn't even into conspiracy theories. You'd be surprised the people that don't know about this. I mean, at one point in time, none of us knew about it until we were told, right? Like pretty much everything else. This was one of the things that I found interesting when I started to venture into the rabbit hole. It is something that I heard of before, but blew it off, didn't pay much mind to it. But when I started to research it a few years back, I said, wow, that's pretty scary. I mean, you're talking 10 commandments for a new world. And I find it disturbing and, in my opinion, very satanic. Because we already have 10 commandments from our Heavenly Father, the one true living God, the creator of heaven and earth. I believe that these 10 commandments on the Georgia Guidestones is nothing more than absolute blasphemy. As above, so below. But that's just my opinion. But furthermore, I'm interested in what you think is going to achieve the goal of 500 million people. As of August 2020, all right, you can assume the number that they give us. 7.8 billion people are on this planet. If you do the math, a staggering amount of people have to be eliminated from the equation to reach 500 million. So ridiculous to the point where you can't do that all at once. How do you, if indeed that is what the purpose of the Georgia Guidestones is? Letting you know someday this will happen. Is it happening now? I personally don't believe it's the current virus. I think something a little more dramatic has to happen than, the lies that we're being fed right now. So I decided to come up with my own personal top 5. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. This is just an opinion video. All right? For instance, let's start out with the fake alien invasion. Now, the fake alien invasion is something that could make society as a whole, all over the world, come unhinged. If you take the idea of science versus God, God versus science, if you show the world somehow that aliens exist, everybody's foundation of what they believed in as far as God goes shatters. Unfortunately, some people will be deceived, but will enough people be deceived? Now, I believe personally that the fake alien invasion will be the last card played, meaning once a set agenda is complete, boom, throw in your alien invasion, unify the world, and then you finally have the one world government, which also could take place with a cashless society because somebody has to run that thing. But we'll see. The cashless society isn't going to bring us to the number of 500 million. Now, throw in directed energy weapons with this fake alien invasion. Then you could be talking big numbers. That's possible. I don't know. What do you think? Getting to number 4, vaccinations. Will enough people be awake by the time this COVID vaccination comes into play? Will enough people be willing to take it? Will you have some kind of an uprising at that point? The vaccination is a very real thing. It's coming. If you don't believe in conspiracy theories, if you think all of this is absolute nonsense, and you think that conspiracy theorists are crazy, you must have heard of the vaccination. I will actually use a little gematria here just to remind people that the vaccination is 666 in the English Sumerian cipher, and 666 is the number of the beast. Do you think that billions of people will fall to the vaccination? That's a lot of people when you really stop to think about it. Is the vaccination enough? But if maybe you mix the vaccination with number 3, 5G technology, well, now you're putting a little more, chutzpah, oomph. You're getting a little more serious. If enough people fight back against the vaccination, maybe they flip that switch and the vaccination has absolutely nothing to do with it. Maybe just flipping the switch, because we don't know exactly what 5G has to offer. The technology that the fallen angels have introduced to man could be a little more detrimental to our health than we might think. Now, I'm going to put something at number 2 that, when you stop to think about it, could do a lot of damage. We're talking about weather control. And people who laugh and think that weather control is a joke, well,
we shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
It has been talked about before, and I suggest you do some research on it, on how weather can definitely be used as a weapon. And now, with the possibility of weather control doing a lot of damage to reach 500 million, you can throw some directed energy weapons in there. I believe technology is going to play a big part in reaching that number. In layman's terms, just stop blowing some crap up and blame it on the weather. Right along the lines is the fake alien invasion. What if you mixed the two? What if you mixed that fake alien invasion with some weather control and directed energy weapons to achieve your goal of 500 million? And I'm just going to throw in at number 1, a third world war. If you're going to do the most damage possible with the third world war, boy oh boy, you could mix that fake alien invasion in with some weather control, in with 5G technology, and just start dropping some bombs. How much damage do you want to do all at once? How much do you want to rebuild? I don't know. But at the end of the day, those Georgia Guidestones, they're still standing. And it's not just a blueprint for America, it's a blueprint for the world. What do you think could be the reason that we end up reaching 500 million people on this planet? That's a lot of people. Billions have to perish. Could it be CERN? Could it be something I haven't mentioned? Do we really want to find out?
Malcolm, you have a lot on your mind.
The sustainable population of our planet is no more than 500 million. The world would be better off without them.
And America will be first.
Yes, well, as our friend Henry Kissinger said, a strong America is the only thing standing in the way of a new world order. We have foreign troops on the ground now, under the UN banner. The country only needs a little chaos.
The American people are resilient. What's to come if the citizens rise up?
Yes, well, when parents see their children starving, and families hauled away to FEMA camps for imprisonment worse, then yes, we expect some resistance. At first. But the vanity of nationalism will quickly fade. The people will beg for help. Any help. These are but the birth pangs of change. Birth pangs of a new world order.
So remember how I said earlier in this speech that the farmers need to give up their farms before 2030, specifically that year? Yeah, so that's not a coincidence. That year doesn't come out of nowhere. So that year is basically the deadline that our global elites have given our country and will probably give you to abide by these new regulations. And that agenda is called the 2030 Agenda. And now I have a slide showing you what that entails. So the 2030 Agenda is a United Nations agenda. So there we go, everybody is part of the United Nations, right? The entire world. And this agenda consists of 17 what they call Sustainable Development Goals. And when you take a look at them, right there, you're like, well, what's wrong with that? You know, they all seem very noble. No poverty, no hunger. Who could be against that? However, if we take a closer look at how they actually want to accomplish all of this, anybody with 2 functioning brain cells realizes that this cannot happen unless there is an active and maybe even forceful redistribution of goods, foods, property, and our rights, which basically comes down to the obliteration of all of our basic liberties and our rights. And these goals, as I said, are not restricted solely to the Netherlands. They are global. And that's where we see their true motive. The people behind this want to establish a one-world government, a new world order in which they decide what we eat, when we eat, where we travel, when we travel, who we meet, and what we are allowed to spend our money on. Basically, control over every single aspect of our lives. And I'm sure that many of you have heard the famous sentence from Klaus Schwab, you know, where he says, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, right? Yeah, that's this agenda. So why are the people behind this agenda specifically targeting farmers? Well, it's because obviously they really want our way of life and the things that we eat to radically change. They don't want us to eat foods that make us strong. They want us to eat synthetic meat created by Bill Gates. They want us to eat bugs. They want us to drink soy milk so that we become weak and obedient, and we do as they say, and we buy what they offer.
All this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news. Not the intelligent design of some God above the clouds, but our intelligent design.
We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life.
You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
AI can create new ideas, can even write a new Bible. We, you know, throughout history, religions dreamt about having a book written by a superhuman intelligence, by a non-human entity. Every religion claims our book, all the other books of the other religions, humans wrote them. But our book, no. It came from some superhuman intelligence. In a few years, there might be religions that are actually correct. That just think about a religion whose holy book is written by an AI.
I mean, previously in history, if you were on the wrong side of history, if you didn't understand what was happening and you lost the competition, then you ended up as some kind of serf or manual laborer being exploited by the people who understand and have the power. Now, if you're left behind, you're facing something far worse, which is to be completely irrelevant. They won't even need you as a serf or as a slave. And what to do with them, and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless. My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games. And this time, if you're not part of the revolution fast enough, then you probably become extinct. COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin.
In 1871, the banks incorporated the United States and called the United States a corporation. And when they created the District of Columbia, what they did was they put that corporation in the District of Columbia. And they said that the members of Congress were actually managers of that corporation. And they said the President of the United States was actually the president of that corporation. So we're not living in the country that we think we're living in. And what I've actually done is I have said that we are under something called state capture. And I have said that there is an interregnum. And if you look that word up, that means that we don't have a legitimate government. And when the founding fathers wrote this Constitution, they realized that the bankers were trying to pull a fast one on us and to try to take over our governance. And so they put in a safety mechanism, and there's something called Article 5, which says that when 2/3 of the state legislatures request an amendment, that the Congress is required to convene a constitution to consider amendments. And the Congress was supposed to do that back in 1929. They've been in contempt of the American people. They haven't given us the opportunity to get our original Constitution back. They haven't even told us that we are not operating under our original Constitution. They've been lying to us.
Most people believe their birth certificate, Social Security card, or passport proves who they are. But what if I told you those documents don't identify you at all?
These documents don't describe a living man. They register a legal entity inside a commercial system.
Registration places you inside debt systems, jurisdiction, and control. But registration is not recognition.
Indexing was created to correct this flaw. It comes from treaty law, humanitarian law, and natural law, systems higher than corporate governments.
Indexing lawfully identifies a living man or woman, not property. It recognizes you as a non-combatant and a protected person.
A diplomat's immunity is granted by governments and can be revoked. An indexed person's protection is inherent, global, and permanent.
Indexing removes you from being treated as property. It restores lawful standing and identifies you to the world as a living human being under protection.
Indexing isn't paperwork. You are a sovereign principal once indexed.
All right, so let's get into it further. Only the living man has the ability to be the executor. They give you another public entity, but this is your entity that you create. Once you become the executor, what that does is removes the cestui trust that the United States got from you when you registered yourself as a citizen within their system. See, once you became a citizen, what you were doing was surrendering the birth certificate and the Social Security card, giving them the ability to become the guardian. That's how you verified that you're the ward of the state rather than registering yourself at the age of majority as the executor. Once you become the executor, that becomes an estate. The all caps, the straw man becomes an estate. That's when it is registered as the decedent, but it's in your possession. Okay? See, the argument that that the birth certificate and the Social Security number are their documents. Yes, those are their documents that they owe to you for you to utilize to claim property and use as assets. They're bonded documents in their system because you're part of the republic. This is verification that you're the living man. They give you your own entity. Remember, you don't own what you don't create. So once you create the executor position, That's verification of the living. Now, once you're the executor, you're going to create your own trust using the EIN given to the executor, and you're going to delegate the estate to the trust. The trust is going to become the beneficiary of the estate, making it so that all of the assets and the proceeds that come from the straw man are now property of your own personal trust. See, right now you're operating out of the trust and you don't even realize it. You hold it in your possession. That makes you the guardian. You give people access to it. That makes you the grantor. You sign off on all the documents. That makes you the executor. Well, actually, technically right now you're just an administrator because you're using it, right? Now, outside of that, you're then the trustee. That's why you file taxes every year, because you're settling the books. That also means that you're the beneficiary because you're doing everything for yourself, but you're not supposed to wear all those hats. You can't be the beneficiary of your own shit. The beneficiary has to be the trust. That's who you make the beneficiary, is the trust. Once the trust is the beneficiary, then everything is going towards your shit. Now, you make your family or you make another business. If you don't have a family, you set it up so that a business becomes the beneficiary of the trust. And then that business should be held under another trust within the trust. You have to structure and layer this properly in order to have the most protection necessary. And your trust has to be based off of the state that you live in, because these are individual countries. Okay, your state is a country. That's what most people don't recognize. The state of is simply something that's in the mind. That's a contractual corporation. A corporation is a citizen. A corporation is a person. It's a body of people that came together and had an agreement. That's a trust. So you have to create your own trust, store everything in your trust, and then create businesses with underneath of your trust in order to utilize the benefits that you're supposed to receive. Now, you can find the instructions on how to structure all these things in my library. It's a minimal $75 donation. Once you have that library and once you go through the process of structuring all of these things by following the manuals and the instruction books that are in the library, then you come and join my private platform, One Nation Republic. We're restoring the republic. Once you've actually done all of your documents, you need to learn how to enforce these things and how to utilize and actually put them into good use. We'll teach you how to do your financial structuring, your trust structuring. We'll teach you how to enforce these things in court and how to perform properly so that you're always in honor at all costs, because you have to be operating in honor out of your trusts, because trusts are held in equity. Equity is the ruling law over trust. There is no other law that deals with it. So you need to learn how to perform equitably in all matters. Otherwise, you have no standing when it comes to court. Now, in order for you to be a part of that, you just inbox the word join and an automated message will pop up with a link that takes you to my link tree that will give you access to our private platform, which is a minimal $10 investment to come and learn with us.